play. And I don't think in life or death, whatever that means, it changes. We just have to learn
Well,
how to deal with the situation in front of us.
and this is a crux.
Pete,
Sorry,
let
Cleary. I know you're trying to get in.
Pete,
Okay.
let T Mog talk. I think he's trying to get in.
No, I just said I agree with somebody. The whole vibe where you guys are saying God's spirit or presence or energy is in everything. That fundamentally has to be true, whether a person likes it or not. So
Yeah. Jesus said.
It is.
Jesus
It
said
is.
you have never seen or heard God's voice. So anyone who came before me, what did he say? Anyone who came before me was a liar.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a few passages in the Bible that says that don't look no further. God is on you. That you know what I'm saying. They're
But
saying that God is in you. You are a big part of God or a significant part of God. You know
when
what I'm
you're
saying?
when you're told not to adorn idols in the Bible, does that include sort of the words that are spoken by somebody that belongs to a past that you have no part of? Can
No.
words be idols,
No.
mind of
No.
God?
No.
Thoughts, can
No.
thoughts be idols?
No.
Why not?
Idolatry would be anything fundamentally that is not true or not God.
How do
An
you know
accurate
what's true? How do
representation.
you know what's true or not outside of your own direct
Well, we
experience?
can't. Everything would be an idol if it's just not honoring the real God when He's.
You
No, no,
wouldn't know
no.
about
We.
Jesus unless you read it from a book, right?
But I'm just trying to answer your question about idolatry.
Sure.
If idolatry is everything that is not worshiping the true God, how can we ever worship God? Because He can't be contained. So
Yeah,
everything would be idolatry.
right. But how do
But in
you
that
know which
sense,
God
how
to
does
choose,
Jesus make
right?
any sense?
But
How is
hang
praying
on.
to Jesus,
Yeah.
which is like
But
a
let me just
second step to the
Pete,
source?
quit rumpusing him, man. Let him speak.
not rumpusing. I was responding to Mind of God, who answered a direct question of mine.
Go ahead, Matrix.
I don't have nothing against Jesus Christ. Of course, I believe in being Jesus like or like Jesus. But isn't it kind of weird that we have to pray on to Jesus so Jesus could carry the message on to the source? Why not just pray on to the source? It just seems like a diversion from the truth. Like these characters, like Moses and all these people from the Bible. eh, I don't think these people were ever real people. I think the Bible is more about um is more like a manual. You know what I'm saying? Like the manual of life or whatever this Romans. So you read it, you learn how to deal with the situations that life presents to you through the book. I don't think it's meant for us to worship that book.
That book
Yeah,
was written.
that's
Yeah,
true.
that book was written in about what was it, 600 BC. That would be about 1200. Yeah, I guess I'm trying to remember when the events of the Exodus would have been lined up with Egyptian history. I think it's about 600 years prior in 1200 BC was Pharaoh Thutmose the third. Everything that has to do with him and him actually not being of the bloodline, he was of the slave girl, and they made up a different version of the story for the Bible when it was written 600 years later from the stories that were handed down. But when you look at Egyptian history throughout that time period, Egypt occupied the Levant. The inhabitants of that area were the Canaanites, and they have a version of that history, and it parallels the Jewish version of the history, except that there was no Exodus. Okay, however many millions of people would have been moved out of that area, history would have documented that. Like
History.
yeah, but
You
any
trust history
Cleary, can
then?
I address what Matrix said though? That it's what he's saying is correct, and this is John 4:24. God is a spirit, and they that worship Him must worship Him in spirit and in truth. So this is Christ telling us to worship the Father. That's what He always
the
does.
Father.
But,
He's not looking for worship for
but
Him.
hang on.
Yep,
Hang
That's
on,
the
Mind
fundamental
of
truth of
God.
the Bible.
that's right.
So
That's
I
what
hang
the
on,
think
Mind
Bible
of
says.
God.
Christ is a Malcolm X figure. Christ is like a Trump figure. He's just, or maybe he's just like a righteous person. But I don't think if he ever existed, he's any more a son of God than we are. He
Well,
was just the only one receiving the message at the
he
time
was
when
anointed.
everybody was caught in the matrix.
He
No,
was the
that's fair
anointed
enough.
one.
That's fair enough. I mean, I don't know
Yeah, but
why.
how did you get to hear he was the anointed one, Mind of God, or Cleary? How did you get to hear that? Through a book, right?
Yeah, we learn a lot of things through
Yeah.
books, man. That's not a
Right.
problem.
And I'm not
Right.
talking. I don't say. I say the Bible is true. Don't get my position wrong. But I agree with Matrix as well. It's a story, the Son of Man. We are all sons of man. There's a greater symbolic significance. How can you say, mind of God, that you're not guilty of crafting idols? You've painted a picture of a literal Jesus, and you've glorified all of the
Yeah,
words
but I don't.
that you have heard
We don't
from this
follow
book.
the
Pete, here, let me
Ten
give you an
Commandments.
example.
I
Let
gotta
me
get
give you
some
an
water. I'll
example.
be right back.
Pete, let
Yep.
me give you an
Behave,
example.
Pete.
If I describe you or anybody accurately, is that an idol of you, or is that just describing who you are fairly?
Well, do you know me? It depends on how accurately
No,
you
let's assume that I say a couple like let's say I just say Pete was here today talking. That's not any kind of
right,
inaccurate information, right? And so if a
right,
person uses a book, for example, to describe an infinite entity that's projected onto a lower dimensional space,
right.
which is where we have no choice but to use books and
Okay, I
words
get
to
you. Hang on. I get the
yes,
point, mind of God.
right.
So, listen. So imagine that your friends were looking for clarification that you met this Irish fuck this weird fucker who claims to be a flat earther, a king of air, uh, exposed Aristarchus, etc. But how are you going to convince them? You'll have to have a narrative to tell them, and that narrative will have to be based on some sort of evidence. If you suddenly told them that Pete said all these mad things, but as well as all these mad things, he pulled 7 sheep from his arse and he fed the whole neighborhood because it was a special feast day in Ireland. Now, people will follow you up to a certain point, but they won't beyond a certain point. Of course, the story of Jesus and the feeding of the thousands of people with the fish and the loaves
Yeah.
is the stumbling block. When you start to take things literally, is this the point actually we're told historically not to take things so literally and look to the symbolism behind it, not to craft idols, not to idolize these words and craft them in a literal sense into a golden calf. What do you reckon, mind of God?
Well, I don't. It's not an idol. It's potentially a historical fact that all of us are waiting to see whether is true. And does this flat Earth fit into that?
Potentially.
Yeah, we don't know. No one can say the Bible's true. Not even Christ himself, because it hasn't been fulfilled yet. So
I
he
think
would
it's
have.
absolutely true. I
Well,
think every single word is true.
well,
Every
none.
single
Some of it
word
hasn't happened
is
yet.
chosen from God, mind of God.
Hmm.
It's chosen from God. Every single word. Why is it the Holy Bible? What's the first word? What's the first letter? THE, right? So
Hmm.
again, I think every single word is true, but we've just crafted idols because we're looking for whatever and literalized everything. That's why we externalize only. Right?
It's like we were pre-made to worship. It's like we constantly look for idols and people to just worship and say, "Oh, they're much
Right.
smarter." We never look into us to look for answers. We're always looking for somebody else to give us some sort of verification.
We were made to
But
grow, Matrix, right? We were made to grow, and this is what life is about. Life has to be about something. And remember,
Dynamic. Dynamic.
then how long does 70 years encompass in terms of presenting?
It's about
Right?
Pete,
being
I
dynamic,
got a
Pete.
good one for you. Sorry, Cleary.
Yeah, I was just saying it's about being dynamic. Not being static in a
Yeah.
belief system. You need to be able to change and grow as you travel through this experience here. Yeah, go ahead, mind of God.
Well, I think death is just another form of judgment, and then we get brought back. I just don't think that cycle is going to happen anymore. But that's my belief. But Pete, one thing about the kingdom, the king's dome. So I believe that that's where we are. Somehow we're in God's mind. I don't know how that works, but that's what I believe. Also, the wordplay can be interpreted as when Christ says the kingdom is here. It's like we're essentially in God's mind. If you describe that as a matrix, it feels like one for sure, and it's complex, and it doesn't end. And so that's why, to some extent, why I call my channel the Mind of God. We must be in His dream or something like that, and then He's so complex that He keeps moving, and we just keep learning new things forever.
Mark Sargent told us it was a game of clues, mind of God. Simon Shack told us with his September clues it's a game of clues. The Bible
Right.
is a book of clues.
There's a lot
Everything
in there.
applies to you. You are representative of your fellow man, everything in the past and everything in the present. Same with the female. There's an intimate connection between the female and the male, and this is the point of duality. We have to understand our true origins, which is a divided state. And let me just say, we're given two options: creation which, if you accept creation, that's only 6,000 scanned years ago, right? As opposed to evolution, which is a span of billion. We can't relate to it at all. Billions of years. So, well, I say everything is in the middle. We're outside of time, but our divided state is a relatively recent origin. And let me just finish by saying, momentarily finish anyway, by saying all I can vouch for is I'm 48 years of age, as the sun goes, as Aristarchus goes.
Dude, you're the
That's all I
same
can
age as
vouch
me.
for. That's all I can vouch for. And let me finally say, I remember, I've talked about this many, many times, and I encourage everyone to go back to the earliest memory you have. And when you get there, keep going. I remember, I reckon, when consciousness came into my being. I remember it as clear as day. I looked up, looked into the corner of the room, and I said, in my own brain, obviously didn't speak it, where am I? What's going on? My mother told me later on, when I mentioned this to her, you couldn't have thought that then because I used to put you there in the pram when you were only a month old or whatever, close to that age. There's something else in regarding our reality. But that's all we can vouch for. I reckon the truth is available to all of us. Like children, we must become. Know thyself, Jesus told us. What does that mean? Know thyself, right?
Yeah,
What will I
whatever's
do?
inside of
Imagine a
us.
man, Jesus, in the desert 2,000 years ago. I have a trouble imagining a man, Jesus, in the desert right now.
Yeah, I mean, because we've been fed atheism for our life, this life. So one miracle seems outlandish, much less all of them. Like, that's I understand if people have issues with that. Having God existing to me was a pretty major deal when flat Earth came by because it became very literal. So I don't pretend to think that all those miracles are very trivial, but they come along with the narrative. And then so if he doesn't follow through on the things that he says at the end, then yeah, those things probably weren't literal. Like they probably
Well,
were just for
this
illustrative
is a
purposes.
this is a crux point, right? I'm sorry, Cleary. Please jump in after this, right? This is a crux point that I've come to realize a long time ago. You, as the individual, decide whether everything means something or everything means nothing. With the heliocentric Big Bang model, we were told that everything meant nothing. You have a scan 70 years here, nothing before, nothing after. Do
Right.
what you will, right? Well, if everything doesn't mean nothing, i.e., everything means something, or are we given the ability innately to figure it out? And I say, well, we're living in post 9/11 times, internet times. 19 years later from 9/11 now, did you know 19 is the eighth prime number?
Yeah. Okay.
All right,
Let me
so
just
yeah,
say,
I don't
sorry,
know. I just look at
can I
things.
just say one more thing, Cleary?
Oh,
I'm
sorry.
very beg your pardon. I just say one more thing because it's directly to you as well. When you talked about the alpha and the omega, look at the symbol for the lowercase alpha and the uppercase omega and join the two together. Tell me what you get. Thank you.
I don't know. Every alphabet started with aleph, bet, alpha, beta. Except for Asian languages, everything is pretty much the same, and a lot of the words in Russian are the same as in Spanish. But anyway,
Well, I'm
when
talking about
you
the Hebrew alphabet, especially because God is the Alpha and the Omega. Look at
yeah,
the lowercase alpha and the uppercase omega and join the two together. You get something very specific.
yeah. Like I said, though,
Cleary,
English is not very old.
Cleary,
It's
I can
innate,
prove.
right? It's a symbol for infinity.
Go ahead, mind of God.
Oh, sorry, Cleary. I can prove what we said earlier, where God's spirit's in everybody. Why is it that when we talk to even these ballers, these liars that we know are liars, how do they know to not talk about certain things? How do they know to get angry about certain topics? That has to be God's spirit programmed in them to resist certain truths, and so that has to be God, because
Yeah,
who else? That's not a normal thing. So God's spirit exists everywhere.
the
You
truth
know.
is in every man, except for soundly. Um,
Yeah,
the,
and George
yeah,
got it, and Rumpus.
yeah. Like that's why Jesus said, "I am the way," meaning the gate, uh, the place, the destination, the truth is the spirit, and the life, the eternal, you know.
Hmm.
It was probably a lot different from English, but yeah, the way I look at things is once you start breaking out of this linear timeline thing, and I don't know if you've ever seen like if you've ever had a ghost experience or anything like that, but it's like when you go from like the old movie, when you go from time to eternity, the old movie, you go from a linear time to eternity, and it's like
Yeah.
the quantum theory, right? The quantum theory is that all of that energy exists within the same time, right? Everything's happening all at once.
Hmm.
So, is that not what the quantum theory is? Are you familiar with that?
That's interesting you mentioned that,
No, I'm not
Cleary.
sure.
That's interesting you mentioned that because Ranty has been doing sort of observations through a fish tank and looking at a jar or whatever. And the word that sort of was visible and disappeared was primer. Now, I'm
Yep.
sure you've seen
It's just a
the
can of
movie
primer.
Primer. Have
Hmm.
you seen the movie Primer? Anyone?
No.
No, I haven't.
Oh, you got it. Well, come on. Google the movie Primer and you will definitely watch it. It was a most brilliant movie. I think it was made for 7,000 euros, but it received major acclaim. But it's exactly all about manipulating time, and that will leave your brain fucking tangled. And well, this is
But
what it
see,
comes
you got to
back
get out
to.
of that. You got to get out of that linear time. Like, where do I go now that I'm a flat earther? I've got to go somewhere. I've got a destination to be at. You don't. You
Yeah.
have it now. You
But
have
hang
the
on,
truth
hang
inside
on,
of you.
hang
You
on. You have
know the
mind.
truth inside of you now.
But hang on, Cleary, you are a mind in time, and seeing all the corruption around you, looking around you, seeing all the people in masks, and knowing the government propaganda message, how does the mind in time deal with, well, what are we going to call it, a reality, perception of reality? It's not the end, you see. The flat earth was never the end. As I said to you to begin with, the Beatles, the Fool on the Hill seals, Paul, by the
Oh,
way, Paul slash Fall was the dodo. The Fool on the Hill sees the sun going down while the eyes in his head see the world going around. They knew the truth back then. But not only do we understand that they knew the truth, they knew what reality consisted of, what was
Pete,
beyond the flat earth.
Pete,
Yeah.
the reason why I invented the phrase "Welcome to Flat Earth" is it is a destination that you have arrived at from the false reality you were in. Okay,
right.
so then when you are welcome to Flat Earth, which is a sales tactic, it's a gentle welcome aboard,
Okay.
welcome
I
to
get
the new
that.
reality. Um,
Sure.
uh,
Have you a graphic to go with that?
yeah, it's on my live feed on the bottom right hand corner of
Copyright
everything.
that. Yep.
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
I'm glad
actually,
everybody says it now. That's cool, but it's welcome to the new reality. It's
yes, but do you understand my joke there? I mean, the blue marble Earth was given to us as a sort of intricate picture because we think in pictures. Every word you say, I can think everyone here in the audience, whoever's listening, this show should be more popular because, as far as I've experienced so far, it's been open chat anyway, and no
this is
major
only episode
uh,
12.
yeah, no major, stopping of talk. But yeah, I can make everyone here think of a snake right now just by the mere mention of the word. So we think in pictures, but this is the point, Cleary. When we're given the blue marble, that's the earth in its entirety. It's ingrained within us. If you're going to say welcome to flat earth, what are you going to show? A black nothingness, the void, a flat surface, two
What is there to
dimensional.
show that
This,
is? What is there
you
to
know,
show that's alternate from your reality? I can show
the
you
point.
any flat surface. I can never show you curve. You can show me
That's
perspective and say where did that go, and we can
right.
measure it, and I can show you that it's flat.
But that's the inconvenient lie, which is the spinning ball Earth is complete in its beauty, right? As opposed to the inconvenient truth, which is well,
Only,
we don't know quite know what it is.
only
But I don't think it
because
can be known, right?
only because of your skewed perspective from the ground. Okay, think about this real quick. When you're looking at the horizon, you're looking through a lot of dense, lower level atmosphere, right? And when you look straight up, you're not looking through much dense, lower level atmosphere. You're looking through a small, very small portion of it. And when I watch the moon and the sun and the wandering stars come through every night, and I compare it with my sky map on my phone, my app, it's some weird looking stuff. The perspective of it, the way everything moves, it doesn't match. It does not match a spinning globe. These objects are not rotating around us, they're traveling through the area. That's the way
Right.
the stars are doing too.
But Pete's point, I
Uh,
think, was more just the elegance of the ball Earth kind of just sits in our brain, so we don't think about anything. Everything's kind of smooth and taken care of. Don't worry about it. That's where you live on, and it's like It's like a mental construct, but we know really what they're pushing is atheism. That's what they're all upset about. Is that a lot of us are
No,
pushing
man, it's part of our
atheism?
childhood, mind of God, Chirag. It's part of our childhood. Once we come to realize the literal is the surface interpretation, the deeper layers. This is why we have so many sort of detective shows. Agatha Christie, Arthur Conan Doyle, Sherlock Holmes, the famous one.
Matlock.
Right, the same people who are offering us all of this. They're the same people, the greater authors of things. You understand that the whole thing is scripted, everything. Game of Clues.
Yeah, it's yes.
You can figure it out, man. Where has it led you? Has it actually led you to nihilism in a sense?
No,
Mind of God.
what I think that this is from God's vantage point is that we're alive now, but He had to like free us from truth. So now that these things, let's say these things end up being true, flat Earth and all these other biblical things, then this is the way God makes us alive, but it's also a way that we have to pay a punishment. So flat Earth is basically a ticket out of jail, mental, whether you call it mental or physical. To some extent, it's actually physical, but that's what it is. So it's a gift. It's a truth that now releases us to see our reality better, not perfect. And then, yeah, I agree with you about the clues thing. When you say those kind of statements, that those clues will never stop for people who are
We are part of the mind of God, right? Mind of God.
That's our origin. That's where we must have started.
Now we have the ability to work this shit out.
That's what I was about to say. Is we're not separate from God. How could we be?
It's impossible. We can't be. He would not make something and have that happen. Impossible.
And that's why I said if my son didn't spot the NASA fakery when he was 2 years of age, I would have given him a clip around the ear or a light toe up the arse. Because come on, you're much greater than this. You know what I mean? This is what I'm saying. There's much deeper layers. It's like, think of the greatest puzzle that you've ever tried to piece together. I think ultimately everything comes back to simplicity, and that's why we're constantly reminded to think like children. Back to the children's stories, the children's games. And now, let me just say, look at the children's lullaby, Rockabye Baby. We thought about the words, we'd never sing them to our nearest and dearest, right? Rockabye Baby, on the treetop, when the wind blows, the cradle will rock. When the bough breaks, the cradle will fall. Down will come baby, cradle and all. What a devastating story. This is the experience we're living through, right? And we're coming out of as well. We're coming to real eyes, right?
Christ actually says that you have to become childlike, and so you do have to view life in this kind of intrigue, like a puzzle. So Christ says that in Matthew 18:3. So that's true.
Like with like childlike wonder and innocence and open-mindedness,
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
And here it is in Matthew 18:3, and said, "Verily I say unto you, verily is like verify, like truthfully, except ye be converted." This is the conversion that the Bible actually wants. And become as little children, ye shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven. So
three times the charm, mind of God. I've written this twice today, and I think you quoted it already, but me separately. I am the way, the truth, the life. You cannot come to the Father unless you go through me.
Yeah.
And I left a comment on Nathan Oakley's channel to just let everyone know, when you read such a profound statement, look at every single word in a deep but a simple childlike manner as well.
If you could read it in the Hebrew, Pete, if you could read it in the Hebrew, you would see that every letter in the Hebrew has a meaning within every word. It's amazing, just like the
what's the code then?
Bereshit.
There has to be a code.
There's a code, man. If you learn Hebrew, Bereshit, bara, what is it? Elohim, Mind God probably knows it. But
I think I figured out Elohim, bud. On my own back. I think I did. Didn't do any deep study into anything, but it's understanding that and we sort of talked about this briefly earlier on. The English language is wholly constructed. Truth is available to all of us. Michael Jackson sang it. It's as easy as A, B, C, 1, 2, 3. When we look at the difference between how the letter T is constructed.
Will Smith sung that.
Well, no, Michael Jackson sung that.
Oh, okay.
Will Smith was Barack Obama, was Osama bin Laden. Isn't that fucking hilarious as a thought, anyway? Even if it's not true, and I know it's true, no fucking can find me.
Even if it's not true,
Will Smith and Barack Obama together interviewed.
Oh my God.
Two best friends.
But Cleary, your point is strong. The Bible is would be whoever is speaking truth. Not even, let's just take, or just not even the Bible. Anything spiritual that's being projected down to earth has to be layered, very layered. And most spiritual people, even religious people, don't get it. They don't get that one phrase or couple phrases that Christ says has so many layers. Christ teaches reincarnation explicitly in the Bible, and Christians won't accept it because they're not spiritual. They don't look at it in a literal sense, but also in a deep spiritual sense. And so there are a lot of deep things and things that he says that a lot of people miss out, like a lot.
Oh yeah. For a special assignment, guys, I don't know if you want to do it or not, but like, tomorrow's Sunday. Maybe I like the Book of John. If anybody wants to, like, read the Book of John or whatever and come back, it doesn't have to be tomorrow. Whatever. I just think it'd be cool to kind of go through all the symbolism in the Book of John. That if you take
That would
it,
be cool.
yeah, if you take it literally, like, the people were hungry and they were like, "Give us bread and water," and he said, if eat my flesh and drink my blood, and the people were like, whatever, it was not a literal thing.
Yeah.
So what is the beyond literal possible interpretation? So in other words, Cleary, you imagine yourself as a son of man, son of God. What does it mean? What is my flesh and what is my blood? And I think that's the whole point.
So
The whole
anyway,
point of
yeah,
it.
I don't know if this will make anybody mad or not. Hopefully not. But several times throughout the Bible, I believe it says that flesh is worth nothing. Flesh is worthless. The flesh is of the
Profiteth
devil.
nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you've
profiteth
got to
nothing.
fight against the worthless flesh. Your
Well, I
spirit.
lost my leg, man. I lost my leg, and it's certainly worth something. The
Yeah,
flesh is what it is, right? We value each and every piece of it.
yeah, yeah.
We know it's
So
not us,
yeah,
but sorry.
yeah. So anyway, when Jesus's physical flesh was crucified and died and resurrected. Anyway, the sacrificial flesh and the blood. Why did the Jesuits create that as a religion, the worship of physical human sacrifice, when his message was not about that? And Chow Yun Cat was mad at me last night about the death, burial, and resurrection. The Catholic, Roman, Jesuit death, burial, resurrection. All you have to do is just believe in Jesus and you're saved. You're not.
That's absurd. That's
Yeah, your
absurd.
works don't matter because of grace and all this. I'm like, yeah, well, that's the doctrine. It's not a spiritual thing. It's
Well,
Works matter. Works
Cleary,
matter a lot in the Bible. A lot.
Cleary, mind of God, this is for you especially. When Jesus died at 33, the curtains of the
Did you see that in a
temple.
book?
Oh no, but hang on. This is the story. I'm just repeating the story, right? This is how it's written.
In a
Well,
book.
I didn't get it from the ether, right? I also saw a few movies in my time. I cried my eyes out at the greatest story ever told. Every Easter time they show it. It's a horrific scene. Such a gentle man as Jesus, so wronged. Of
Right.
course you're going to cry your eyes out. Of course you are. But what I'm asking you now, as a man coming through all of this, Jesus, as the story goes, and the movie is just an interpretation of a story, right? Which is an interpretation of a series of thoughts. What it is. But Jesus was decided to have died at 33 on the cross, right? When you turn the cross to his side, you get an X. Christmas, Christmas, Xmas. Let me remind you, Aristarchus is an anagram of Christ's aura, Aura, or Christ's golden sun. Anyway, the point being, Jesus died at 33 on the cross and was resurrected, right? Resurrected. When you resurrect a crossbar, you bring it up to the T, right? The Christ, right? Anyway, that's a different story. But why are all of these things incorporated within the narrative? And the point I was getting to, when Jesus died at 33 on the cross, the temple curtains, which we're told specifically took 46 years to build, not the curtains, the temple itself, was rent in two. Now, when you divide 46 in two, what do you get? Honestly, that's easy, isn't it? 23. 23 ring a bell? 23 chromosome pairs, right? Or sorry,
But also 23 is 2, 3, 33. That's the why
right.
Alex is 23.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? And once you get the solution, all of the clues slot into place. Once you solve an intricate puzzle, well, you know how to undo it and you know how to do it again because you started figuring out the process, which in general turns out to be simple, right? Like children we must become. Solution and the truth is available to all of us. I'm not saying I have the truth. I've been reading the clues, and for me, let me just say it: all roads lead to Aristarchus, the divided tree of life. We're greater than the material, though. This is the whole point as well. This is why, let me just finally say, this is why the dodo is the great. Jesus is the dodo. We are the dodo. The dodo is the greatest symbol because it represents the divided state of the earth post destruction, decapitation of Aristarchus. So, in other words, the changing face of the land as it juts out above the sea, i.e., the Gleason's map. When you put it, rotate it so Australia's at the bottom. But more importantly, it goes to the heart of our matters, the divided state of us, male from female, down along the back and intertwined in a spiraling fashion to the soft tissues and organs, and or male from female and self from self as well. Look at our dividing line down the very center of our being. Left side is a mirror of our right side.
This whole narrative is incredible. Like I don't like that's some of it.
It's
like
wondrous,
I don't know.
man.
We can't even wrap our head around. Like just
It's wondrous. But look at a child. Look at a child after being born. Look at a child a day old, especially your own child. No miracle.
The movie
Greatest
has
miracle known to any of us.
The thing that I think is cool, dude. This movie we're living in has no edges. There's no discontinuities. We don't feel them, at least until death. That to me is incredible. How does somebody make a movie that has no glitches? Like we don't experience that. It's smooth. That's amazing. One would think that would continue.
Power of the mind of God. Power of God's mind. You chose that name specifically, right? You asked me what creates everything? A thought, an intent, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah.
That's what the orgasm is. It's a severe intent.
Yeah.
And let me just say, so understanding this divided state, when the circuit has been broken, think of your penis, right, as a football with the cut hole in a hole cut in the leather, and you're pumping it up, and the rubber inside is sort of coming out. Honestly, this is the way it's happening, right? The rubber inside is sort of coming out, and it was never meant to come out.
The rubber inside? Oh, whatever.
And the rubber inside of the football. So the leather is cut. The rubber inside, when you pump up the football to give it some air pressure within the container, then the rubber inside will inflate out. This is what when you get an erection, because we're in a natural state. But when the bridge is connected, which is the coitus, the intercourse, the connection between the male and the female, then the bridge is set, right? And the greatest miracle known to all of us, which is us, right? The human child is born. So we are in that divided state. And the question is, as I asked earlier on, two questions. It either means something or it means nothing. And if it means something, then this is going on to the second question: can we piece things together? I think this is where it comes back to what the true reference to the body of Christ is. How do we get here? The sperm meeting the egg, like the mind thought, right? Think about it. How does your sperm become imbued? It's with the thought. And this is where, well, I guess the heliocentrists, we're just nothing, right? We're just all material. The thought is an anomaly. You can't sort of dimensionalize it, but yet it's within the three-dimensional reality.
The spiritual controls
the
physical, for sure. The thought, whether you call it a thought or, your intentions, that's 100%. I think this world wants us to not really think that, take responsibility for that fundamentally, but that's absolutely true. If any spirit exists, whether it be the God of the Bible or some other entity, then that spiritual world governs this. But we maybe don't know it or believe it fully.
Right.
That
well, who do you succumb to, right? This is a question for all of us. What happens at the point of our death? And let me just say, the next door neighbor's sister died with an unexpected stroke there. So there is death in the air, but I don't view it as that way. We're sort of being liberated in a sense. But at the point of death, where do you go? If you're presented with 100 gods, and you yourself were a god of a sort, and if you just followed the clues and thought like a child, you would have been able to work out somewhat your strategy when you approach this sort of finality. You know what I mean? So what if you made the wrong choice? If you press button B in terms of like a whole alphabet sort of set of buttons, and then you just go back in. But the thing is, the twist is that you set yourself this challenge because, of course, you're God at the end of the day, and life itself is just a fleeting thing in terms of all possibilities, not just within this universe, but within an infinite number of universal possibilities within the mind of God.
The way I see it is God puts a unique spirit in us, and then He puts us in His body, so we have to experience certain things, and He wants us to see whatever we've done, and it's already determined. And so then when we leave the body, we're in God's presence, and then He assigns other tasks, whatever He has, and then that to
Well,
me
All
is
right, guys,
almost
hang
the way it
on,
has to be.
hang on.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to stay around and talk for a while, and I can keep everything going, or not? Because I've got to get.
yeah, yeah, keep it going, man. Keep it
Yeah.
going, Cleary.
All right, y'all just keep it under control. I'm gonna be on my mobile phone. I'm really not gonna be speaking anymore, but I'll let
Sure.
it go for however y'all want.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, cool.
we
That'd
won't
be
argue
cool.
or anything. That's
Yeah,
fine.
good.
Oh no, I was
All
just
right.
going to ask. I was just going to ask, mind to God, can you think of a perfect heavenly moment? And I don't mean this in any sort of derogatory way, but let's say you're on the golf course and the weather was right. Uh, the conditions were just right, and you said to yourself, "This is as close to heaven as I can feel," or
Yeah. Yep.
right. Heaven is a moment, isn't it? And back to the Gospel of Thomas as well. Where do we look for heaven? Without? In the past, in the future, above or below? It's the moment, right?
Well,
Moment. You
I view
treasure
it
that
actually
moment.
as zero anxiety, like no worrying about the past or the future. And that's the cool thing about if eternity is something we experience and exist, it would kind of feel like that, where you don't worry about anything in the past or where you got to be later. Yeah, and so let's say on the golf course, I'm looking at the sky or something that kind of puts me in that temporary coma kind of thing. Yeah, that's I would say that would be the best that I could think of what it would be like if quote heaven exists out of the body.
If you had eternity on your side, that would seem to get boring after a while, I should imagine. Whatever a while means, right?
Yeah, that's the part that I think that really anybody would wonder, first. But the only issue with that is there's no reason to even necessarily stress about that too much because we'd have to then simulate what being out of the body is, which some of us have experienced. I haven't, but I don't even know. I have no idea what that even is, or you know, like what that thing that's outside of the body. What is that substance? So
Well, meditation, I guess. I mean, how many ways are there to the truth? Is there only one way?
yeah, man, this construction is incredible though. Like to whatever entity put this together, it's brilliant for sure. And then he's got these
Sure.
baller cyborg liars who he instructs to come in every day and lie to us. So he's behind that too. So crazy.
But that's what I'm saying, mind of God, right? It doesn't take a reasonably clever child to work out their role in all of this, but there's deeper layers, right? So they're just put in place to be obviously exposed and probably to expose you to deeper sort of considerations, When we come to flat earth realization, as I asked Cleary, well, and I asked you this before definitely, can you draw a picture for yourself or for your child or whatever, which welcome to flat earth as opposed to the beautiful spinning ball earth model that they can do perfectly, exquisitely in picture or CGI or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Would you do that?
Sorry, what was the question again? What do you want me to
Could
paint a
you
picture of?
offer up an image, a picture
Yeah.
of the earth itself, or home, or actual home, the flat earth,
No.
to convince a child?
No. I couldn't even.
I think
I can barely wrap my head around it.
until you can.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Until you can at least offer a picture, then you haven't quite understood the point. That's what I think. Not you. I'm not saying to you. I'm not saying to you. I'm not saying to anyone individually. But of course, there's more. Flat Earth is just the beginning, and the constantly stressed Cleary here. And
No,
like the Beatles, they all knew the Earth was flat 50 years ago. They knew it all along, whoever they are.
I think your interest in learning and then getting the specifics now about the visualization of the flat Earth model is great. I just think it's hard because it would take a lot of people and potentially resources. But having that picture, yes, you would think that we would almost need that to be sane, because then we don't even know where we are fully. Like, we may have the flat water, that part, got it, and then some covering. But yeah, that's horrifying to me that
Yeah.
as much as I will know, I will not even have a visual picture of the place that I was walking on for now 38 years. And I'll die that way. That's crazy to think that, and that's likely going to happen, which is absurd,
So
That's
you've
like,
decided that you can't know. We're just thrown into a situation and we're sort of flailing and helpless, no
well,
matter
we could
what
if we
the
had
right
more
answers are.
resources. We could,
There's no
but I mean, if
satisfaction
we
to the
had,
mind.
if we had a group of people and some resources and all the equipment that we have paid for through our military, I think we could map out the thing. And I have a feeling some know for sure, like more than they tell us. Like, for
I go
example,
with
I
it,
know
man.
Ranty knows more than he tells us. I know that for a fact, like
Yeah, yeah.
factually. So
Who
I
doesn't?
don't.
Who doesn't know in terms of prominent figures? Who doesn't know more than what they're led on to know?
Yeah,
My God,
exactly.
who's genuine?
George, obviously, these people know it's flat. Everything George does with tests, he knows that it's flat. He's not like that stuff he was talking about yesterday with radio waves. He's just lying. No normal person says the channel is flat and just don't have to worry about the channel distorting the signal. Like, no normal radio engineer talks like that. Gets on Hangouts and lies like that. So people like that obviously know more than what they're telling
Right,
us.
right, and that's easy for someone with a mind like yours to figure out. So this is what I keep mentioning Sherlock Holmes for. Many different layers to it. Ultimately, the layer is when we get to the nothingness of the sea, the zero. That's the mind of God. The mind of God has constructed all of this. How far can we go? We're like let me just say this, and I've said this many times on my own channel. We're like the most loving father there ever was, sending your son into a simulation existence, right? Knowing that no matter how many difficult struggles there were to come, your son would emerge glorious, like understanding that, coming to understand that he could always solve the puzzle. And no matter if he did good, bad, or indifferent, he would still emerge, well, because it's just a holodeck or an experience, right?
I mean, if God exists, it would have everything has to collapse back to his mind, which would be whether you call it 0 or 1. To me, it's the same thing. It's like it collapses to a
Ah,
point. So yeah,
ah.
that's what that's the clue.
Well,
I think that's what we're
well.
reading.
Here I lay claim to. I could lay claim to lots of brilliant things, mind of God, right? Sure, but
Mm-hmm.
here I lay claim to special thing, which is the solution to why 42 is the ultimate answer to the ultimate question of life, the universe, and everything. And I don't know if you know anything about Douglas Adams, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And just we were talking about sort of space propaganda with Stanley Kubrick. Don't get me talking about that. 2001, A Space Odyssey. Don't get me talking about that. But well, see, now that I've got onto that, I have to forget what I was talking about because that's so significant how it connects to 9/11. But it is this space sort of way of thinking, this extended, expansive way of thinking. And no matter how
Yeah.
you feel about it, subconsciously, there's a greater consciousness within us all that sort of place ourselves in a fixed setting,
Yes.
according, I guess, to the men of science, the men of religion, whichever way you choose.
Yeah.
You will sort of go with that path, men of greater knowing, upon the shoulders of giants, religious, theological discoveries, etc.,
Yeah.
scientific discoveries, etc. It's all the way, so it is all a sort of an acceptance of a greater mind. But
Pete,
that mind is
you
within
might like this.
you, right?
You might like this analogy. When you go to the optician and then they do that little thing where they flick the thing to get different lenses in front of you, and you're like, okay, I see better, worse,
Right.
better, worse. The way I see flat Earth, it's like, first of all, we get a better lens. It's not perfect, but we're closer now once people become flat Earth and genuine flat Earthers. And then also, more fundamentally, we kick the optical person out of the room and we control the thing now. And we run it now. And we don't know everything yet, but that's the way I see it, is all these truths are just able to see things more and more clear. And what we're exactly seeing, I don't know. Like, every religion obviously has their opinion, but yeah, it would have to fundamentally never end, because then we would be literally, I guess, God or with God or something. So
Well,
to me, it has to literally just go on. And I think everything's going to be smooth, as much as death is painful, I'm sure, but especially for certain people. But it would just be a little glitch or a discontinuity, and then it goes on to something else that's where we're supposed to be, wherever that is.
are we saved by sort of faith alone, or because there's a contradiction? Of course, the contradictions everywhere. This is why we must get to the final. I listen, Chirag. I love my fellow man, and whatever I say, controversial as it may be, it's sort of coming from the heart. I don't speak as if what I'm thinking in terms of myself doesn't apply to every other individual. You know
Yeah,
what I
fair
mean?
enough. Yep.
So, yeah, when it comes to these deeper considerations, yeah, it all comes back to where we place ourselves. We place ourselves in a unknowable situation or a knowable situation, and then of course it all comes back to God and our relationship to God. And once again, the zero. And that's what I meant to say earlier on. Everything coming back full circle, heliocentrism with the one only, one, two, three, four, everything upwards from one
Yeah.
is just a series of ones, right? But if the zero is denied, well, then you lose meaning. So with 42, when the zero is reintroduced, which that's where flat Earth is. How many atheists has flat Earth sort of converted from? I
Probably
guess
quite a
you know
few. Yeah.
exactly, myself included.
Right.
Myself included, and with that involves the reintroduction of the zero. So with the reintroduction of the zero and the acceptance of the one, but we remember, yeah, very much longer conversation, but I did say to Cleary here about the alpha and the omega. When you do connect them, let me tell you the answer, you get the symbol for infinity, which is a lemniscate, which is an 8 on its side, which
Right. was not saying, don't worry about your flesh, because obviously we'd have to be purpose in the flesh to do something, and then we feel pain, which we have to be compassionate for other people's pain. But I think it's more an eternal thing. That's what it means when it says that.
Transcendental, right? And that's what number pi is, transcendental. And that's exactly what I meant to bring up, actually, just after coming back to it. I'm going to show it on Discord here. Will you agree, logically, God is indivisible, right? Mind of God.
Yeah.
Right. So who's the devil then? God must have created the devil.
Correct.
In an all-knowing sense.
Absolutely.
So therefore, all outcomes were known by God, and
correct.
Well, we ought to decide within this experience we're having now, within this nowness, whether there's a possible resolution that we can come to or not. And of course, one resolution, in one sense, is the whole thing about heliocentrism, specifically Aristarchus of Samos, as it's written, to bring us into this complete resolution, which is the Big Bang. Everything came from nothing. A few things I could tie in there. Everything, which is infinity, lemniscate, which is a twisted zero, came from nothing via the singularity, which is the one. Well, if you twist the zero once, you get infinity, which is ultimately a series of ones. If you twist the zero an infinite number of times, you get the one. And this is the whole thing. This is why God is the one, the holy one. Because we're all two, because we're divided. But with that in mind, let me just find something very interesting. I'll post it on Discord here. My own sort of realization as well. I'm going to say these realizations.
One point about the Big Bang. Pete, one quick point about the Big Bang. The Ballers disprove that because we know that there's a big truth, whatever, military, army, or whatever. Their coordination of lies proves that the Big Bang can't be real. Because why would they all be coordinated, and have these, Corona, everybody just drops the mic and, put the mask on and everybody worldwide agrees with it. Really? You expect us to believe that came out of a Big Bang? All that coordination? That's obvious. You don't even have to be a flat earther to know. That's preposterous. So that alone disproves the Big Bang. That's nonsense.
This is why it all ties in with the dodo, man. It's all symbolic. It's all metaphor in a sense. The Big Bang references the big fuck. When the sperm came together with the egg, I say one is an inversion of the other, just like I say our God is an inversion of her brain. And when the two came together, then our material universe began. We have ventured into a state of division. Science tells us everything's inverted, remember. Science tells us that all children, all fetuses are born female. No, that's not so. They're born male and female. It's when the time comes then, after gestation, or at whatever point, the division is made. So one is divided from the other. So male and female are divided from that initial form. Yeah. And this is the key. And ultimately is reunification. Well, this is what the story of Jesus is about. Remember, what we do at the Lenten ritual, what are we supposed to do anyway? Remember Jesus fasting for 40 days and 40 nights and then receiving enlightenment, right? And being tempted by the devil. Then he was tempted by the devil. He was offered the material realm from the highest of mountains, right, mind of God, and he resisted because we overcame the material, the devil. So it's the material versus the immaterial, in a sense, the greater us, and every succumbing. It's a good word. Actually, here I have the what do you call it here? I have the picture here. I'm going to post it in Discord, and chat will be able to see this, mind of God, because you can't share the screen. But here's my effort anyway.
You put it in the chat thread.
I'm going to post it in Discord chat thread exactly. But I don't think anyone listening will be able to get it.
I'm here.
Okay, hang on. Very good, yeah.
Just make sure it's PG-13, Pete. There's a lot of rules. And
no, it's perfect. Okay. It's grand. Grand, man. Sorry about that.
You're putting it in the chat thread, right? On the
yeah. I'm just in process of doing that. Shit, hang on. Okay, hold on.
Cleary, what's your vision for this channel, man? Do you want it to be more casual kind of stuff, or you want ballers to come in and
It could
what's
be
your...
whatever it ends up being from day to
That's
day. You
cool.
just never know what's going to happen
That's
around
cool.
here. Yeah.
Okay, that's dope.
Like
Okay,
sometimes
that
we'll talk
upload.
about spiritual things. Sometimes I battle a troll. Sometimes, who
Yep,
knows.
right. Bad time to be a baller these days. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. Is anybody going over there to the Plain Truth to watch movie night in about 35 minutes?
I find him funny. I don't watch too much.
Hang on. I'll be right back.
Okay, I don't seem to have clearance to post images here. I think maybe I have to give you some sort of clearance, Cleary. Clearance, Cleary.
You have
It's
a
clear
wrench,
that
don't
I
you, Pete?
require clearance, Cleary. Here.
Pete, you can't post anything unless the gatekeepers allow it. You know the rules. All right, so
No, I've never been in this Discord before, so I have no.
I'm just kidding.
I know, but yeah, but it's a good one. It's a good one, and you definitely need the visual, and it absolutely connects actually with everything I've been saying tonight. From 42 being why 42 is the ultimate answer with the zero reintroduction of the zero coming to flat Earth away from heliocentrism and materialism, and the relationship between the zero and the one. Remember, I said if you twist the zero an infinite number of times, you get the one, which is why God is
God
infinite.
is an incredible. He has to be an incredible mathematician, man. We see the numbers everywhere. Like not even just 33 and 66. You can see. I once took my corporate, from the first day I went to corporate America to the very last day. It happened just to be a round number, and it's like if we did those kind of things with our life, we would see a lot of different patterns, dude. Like it's not just random,
How
all of
it
that.
can be, and that again, the ABC. I is an A and A. Everything goes back to the H. H. You're told H. You man. Do you? I'm human. H. You man. By the H. Well, you have the two divided pillars, separated, but ultimately connected by the bridge, right? And we look at everything in a two. So I'm just going back to what I used to preach maybe 2 or 3 years ago. I still stand by it as well. But everything that's presented to us in 2 dimensions, we have to three-dimensionalize, and sort of vice versa as well. Do you remember the movie Contact with
Yeah,
Jamie
I've heard of that.
Foster?
Yeah,
Right. So the way they got to figure out the charts that they were being sent was three-dimensionalizing it. What clues for us? So we do the same thing with the H, right? Look at the capital letter H, three-dimensionalize it. What exactly is happening there? Is that ultimate divide?
All right, I want
Is
to
the
talk
bridge
about
like
something
divide?
real quick. What are the mind of God? Do you consider yourself a Bible literalist or what?
yes. I'm the only one that's out there.
Well, I mean, there is Bible literalist Paula, right?
No, she doesn't read the Bible literally. Like when Christ says that's Elijah, I read that literally. She thinks it's something else. So I take reincarnation, for example, literally, which is what the Bible teaches. So she's a Bible non-literal, actually.
She does not.
I'm a Bible
Blow
She,
the
literalist.
pelt.
she does not like Pete because Pete is always saying that the Bible literalists are, at the door of flat Earth.
Yeah, exactly.
Are.
Pete, I am the only Bible literalist you probably will ever meet in your life, potentially. And I'm not saying that to boast, but I am the only Bible literalist that I know of, and I would love somebody to share somebody else. But the Bible literally teaches reincarnation. The Bible literally teaches play this realm as
Chirag,
hell.
what do you think
Purist.
about?
You'll have to
What do you
identify
think
yourself as a
about?
purist Bible literalist.
What do you think about Emmanuel? Emmanuel.
The name itself.
Yeah, like who is that?
I know what it means. I don't know maybe where you're trying to lead me
It's
with
from
that, but
Isaiah, right?
right.
And then it's in
God
Matthew.
with us. Okay.
So Isaiah's son was Emmanuel, but then I guess it is in Matthew where it's quoted again. They were conflating that Emmanuel, the virgin shall have a son and name him Emmanuel. So in the New Testament, you're to believe that that's Jesus, right? But
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
original Old Testament was not talking about a literal virgin giving birth. It was talking about the young wife giving birth to Emmanuel. They literally named him that, Isaiah's son, Emmanuel. You might not be able to find it too easily, but it's out there. Um,
Okay.
but I think it's just been conflated into a New Testament story. And then if you are a Bible literalist, what's going on with the book of Daniel and the book of Revelation is pretty much just a mirrored
Correct.
image of the same thing, right?
Yeah, even Ezra, second Ezra in the Apocrypha, it's all consistent. It's just different ways of describing the exact same potentially end times narrative, which obviously my channel, I believe we're living in now. But yeah, it would have to be because they're all coming from the same source, same entities breathing those ideas to people, however they communicate that. So yeah, that's the cool thing I would say that I've studied in the last year or so, is that if you look into all the prophetic books, even the minor prophets, the end times narrative is actually exactly the same. It's just worded differently. It's
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's symbolic. It's like in for example Daniel, it talks about the temple sacrifice being removed, but that's coded language for the God's elect. So that's the rapture. And
Mm-hmm.
so in Revelation, it'll describe the rapture a different way. In Ezra, it'll describe the rapture a different way, and all that kind of
It
stuff.
seems
But
some people don't have a tolerance for other people at all. I don't get that. If you're supposed to be uh, of God and full of the love of God, why do some people not have any tolerance for others?
here's one example, just a good example in the chat. AJM saying the Bible doesn't teach reincarnation. So you either believe that it does or it doesn't. There's only two options. And so I know that it does. And so he's saying it doesn't. And so you could either respond with that, okay, we can agree to disagree, or I could tell him that it's true and why it's important. Because if a person doesn't understand that, then they won't understand Revelation 1:7. They won't understand the fact that this life is a conditioning over generations, which is obvious. Just it's so obvious. And so that's important to know, because then if we're just here and we're just here randomly, we got plopped into the ball earth generation, just enjoy it, and we don't recognize that this has to be a function of something that has happened in a prior generation, then we'd be confused. It doesn't answer everything, but reincarnation is important in life and to unlock the Bible. So people like AJM who don't even read the Bible, they tell me, somebody who actually does, that that's not in the Bible, when it's everywhere, literally everywhere, from beginning to end. I've done a video on it and I've brought out a few, but if you take what Jesus says literally, that those who pierced him shall see him, I have no reason to not take that literally. So how is that possible? Either the people that pierced him are living for thousands of years, or their spirits are reinfused into bodies now. And then when Jesus says that person that I'm pointing at is Elijah, I take that literally. These people, AJM and Bible literalists, they are Bible non-literalists. They're gatekeepers. They're not allowed to teach what the Bible says. The Bible says this realm is hell, which makes sense because we're lied to about everything. They're gatekeepers. So they're not allowed to have that truth come out. But once a person knows that this is hell, it's good for us, because then we know, oh, okay, good. That makes sense.
The only way is up, baby.
It's good to know. It'll help us cope with the fact that why are there liars everywhere? Why are we getting paid with our own money? Why are we eating garbage food? Why do they want to put a mask on? Why do they want to put a vaccine in us? Et cetera, et cetera. So
hang on, mind God. That makes people like Bible literalists then the more heinous.
Correct. They're the worst. AJM, Bible literalists, they're the most devious people. Good servants, all these people, they're just agents. They're just gatekeepers. And so they're gatekeeping.
I don't think good servant really has much knowledge. Really, I wouldn't judge him because I don't know. Maybe he is well versed, but it doesn't appear that way. Maybe it's kind of new to him. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I think the reason I know he is when I go on their panel and say, for example, reincarnation's literal, or this is hell, and different Bible truths, they'll first of all kick you off, and then they'll say, oh, he said all these up. Then they don't know that when I leave those panels and get kicked off, I get a good feeling inside because I know it's true now, because that's not logical for people to do that. because if they're into the Bible, they would want to know what the Bible says, like things that we discussed earlier about things that, you know, Christ said about the kingdom and all that. They would want to know. So that's his job then, is to gatekeep, because those truths, he's only allowed to do the flat earth, and that's it. Nothing beyond that. Mystery Babylon, hell, reincarnation, all those different things. And so that's when I know, and then all I can do is point out to other people that they're gatekeepers. Paul, a Bible literalist, is a flat out gatekeeper. Like, it's not even, when I'm here, she'll leave. Like, notice how she came.
Every time she comes to my channel, and me and her have been battling trolls from the beginning when she was Knowledge Scavenger, you know, all the way down the line. We've been buddies, but every time she comes here, she comes in and says, well, looks like everybody in here is KJV only. I'm getting out of here, you know. Oh, Pete's talking. I'm getting out of here. You know, I'm like,
yeah, people
like what is the problem? Why is there so much judgment and condemnation of others? Why are you right about everything? You know,
it's not that we're right. It's we're infinite scripters. Some of us, we don't have a limit. We don't have a government telling us what to say, and we don't have to report to QE or some person. So they're not going to come near us.
Knowledge Scavenger Paula has a script from the start, Cleary.
Exactly, and it's limited. It's a limited script.
Notice how Nathan Oakley surrounds himself with Bible literalists. At the helm is quantum erasure.
All right, tell me this, please. Why would these people, if you say they're paid...
The church always dictated the narrative.
Hang on. Why would these people, if you say they're paid, spend the last 2.5 years at least battling trolls every day, trying to prove flat Earth and the biblical cosmology?
No, that's their job.
Okay.
Some of us have moved beyond that, so they're not allowed to go beyond that. So I'm not necessarily they're all hardcore evil, going to do bad things to us.
But who would want individuals to do that?
The devil, the temptation, right?
God does. God's given everybody a script.
Okay, God has sent someone like Paula.
Hang on, Cleary. Let me
hang on. God has sent someone like Paula, or a good servant here, to prove flat Earth to people in a biblical cosmology,
but not go beyond that. Yes, they're not allowed. Right. Christ opens people's minds to other things, so their job is to get the flat Earth out there, make it seem plausible. But anything beyond that explains why did that evil exist? Where are we going after we die? Is reincarnation? What did Jesus mean when he said certain things?
He has a definitive place to take you beyond flat Earth. This is the whole point, mind of God, as you do. When opposing a definitive place which you carried with you from your previous thought. I mean, here in Ireland, we were brought up with Bible literalism. Now, as I came to this arena, which it was foisted on me. That's good, right? I learned to cast everything else aside. But
I've heard you say that.
Something that was with me from the very start. With me, no, there's a problem there, right?
I've just got a little bit of a problem with, like, if God sent them here to, teach Bible literalism, the flat Earth biblical cosmology, what would be wrong with that if that was the will of God? I don't know.
No, they're just limited scripters. They're only allowed to take the Bible literally in certain places. Kent Hovind takes the Bible literally in certain places, not the flat Earth verses, obviously. Pastor Anderson takes the Bible literally in certain places. He actually teaches America's Mystery Babylon. And so the Hebrews, they're only allowed to take the Bible literally in certain places. So that's their role. And so people like me, Pete is one of the more who are on the infinite script side. We don't have like a limit. So we scare people when we call them agents, and we know they're agents because they're limited scripters. When you can only talk to them about certain things.
Mind of God, Chirag, hang on. We're the exact opposite because you have a strict limit, and that limit is defined for you literally by the 66 books of the Holy Bible.
No, the reason I call myself an infinite scripter is I'm aware of that potentially not being true. So I'm not tied to it in any emotional, financial anyway. If it's not true, it's not true.
Yeah, I've got to ask you, is God a physical entity that exists somewhere?
Yes.
A physical entity that exists somewhere?
Yeah.
No, not the way we would. Not the way physical is here, where I can touch it, tactile.
It's a new. No. God is a new Shirai.
Yeah, that's a better way.
You exist as a physical entity somewhere is the better question.
whatever leaves, it has the ability to impact physical things, but it doesn't necessarily have to be physical itself.
Hey, we found out finally that Jeremy, Gem Panda, had a physical existence somewhere. He existed in the body of a hunchback midget with a big mouth.
How did you figure that out? He's one of the scarier liars out there for sure. Like he's hardcore atheist.
Yeah, he just doesn't want to believe the truth. But
Yeah,
so you're
he's
saying that
lost.
God is a physical being somewhere?
Look at the
No,
word, look at the letters for
physical
God.
is a concept, is an idea, is an output of God.
Hmm.
It's like chemistry is an idea, Pete is an idea, I'm an idea, you're an idea. These are ideas of God. Gravity,
yeah.
like whatever
THOTH, right?
the definition, the theory, quote theory of gravity, all these deceptions are God's ideas. He had to have authored all these first, just by causality. And
That's
so
a thought in your brain, Chirag.
God is
Give me your brain.
God is just the nefesh, the prana, the life force.
whatever all those things roll up to, that's if you could go to the whatever that is, the edge of it, then I guess the beginning
But
of
the
it
ether
collapses.
is the life force.
I don't know how to describe it. I'm not trying to be vague. I just don't know how to answer that.
So
or
we
maybe
are,
if you have a point.
We are spirits in a material world, like the song says, right?
Yes.
And
Correct.
so our spirit comes from God. God is a spirit. I guess he would be physical in an energy sense, right?
Take spirit.
Everything that exists outside of God would be an idea, and I agree with you that it would have his whole life force in it, for sure. That's not even the Bible. That's just by just logic that would have to be the case.
What do you think about the word of God, the voice of God, the thought of God, the idea of creation?
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting to me. Like, I don't know, like, you know, to think about, I always think about, like, if nothing existed at all, that would be very likely, you know, either way, right? An eternal existing God and everything is created, or nothingness.
As I pointed out earlier on, all there is the one and the zero. So imagine a one three-dimensionalized, and imagine a zero three-dimensionalized. The zero, what you get is a rabbit hole, right? But it doesn't matter. Can I just clear it? I've been trying to post this image in Discord here, and I think I probably need some sort of clearance,
Hang on,
basic level
give me
clearance.
1 second. Yeah,
Because
I'll
it's
make you a member, and
nice.
it should be good now.
Okay, well, it's just, and it all ties in again, but this is for Shirag, especially if you want to present this to the audience as well, it'd be cool if you wanted to. I just find it again. It goes, and it's on the same issue as well. But how far have you come in terms of your reconciliation with the idea of God? That's all it can be, Cleary, isn't it, at the end of the day? Or as an individual idea of God, a greater, who we accept in some sort of greater form, whether it be within ourselves, you know what I mean? It could be completely contained within ourselves. In other words, we could all be God, you know, and combine together.
Well, it's like a tree would think that God is a tree. A person would think that God is a person, right? A plant, if it was, if it thought, it would think God was a plant, right? But then there's
That's interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So what?
Not necessarily, though.
An orange tree, an orange, you know, we're not the same, right? We're just creation.
You know what an orange tree thinks?
What is creation? What is life? You know, that's God. You know, the energy, the
Are we in a broken state? Are we in a divided state, like I consistently say?
No.
The Earth is in a broken, divided wasteland state.
No, because everything is alive and growing and thriving. It's not dying and rotting and going away, you know?
Remember the shit sandwich we were talking about earlier on?
Yeah, it's not a shit sandwich. It's
we're the next
sandwich.
step up from it. That's all we know is the shit
it's
sandwich.
worse than that.
You don't know what the true nature of it is. We don't know what a
you
good
guys,
filet mignon
you
sandwich.
guys are happy right now, right?
Well,
are you guys enjoying your life right now?
No, of course not.
Oh, come on. What do I got to do, man? This is supposed to be an enjoyable show here. You
Yeah,
know,
but this is a momentary release from the greater considerations, the sort of the eternal nowness where you have to deal with the knowledge that you're living in a world that's completely unnatural to you.
it's natural,
You
man. Go
know?
outside, walk in the grass barefoot. You don't have to live in a shit sandwich. You can let go of that. You
I
know,
agree. I agree.
let go
I
of that.
agree. But are you? Who are you? This is the question, isn't it?
Yeah, God.
Again,
It's just
what's
that's
our
what I was
name?
thinking about a
Is
while
there? Is
ago.
there? Well, but is there sort of many different layers? I hold there might be. I think within this physical realm, we are sort of in the sub layer, right? So we're in the divided state. As we go back to our sort of next true form, we're in the united male and female state. I think this is what Jesus refers to as well when he talks about in the book of Revelations, the bypassing the is it the second death, the first death? So no, no, not the first, bypassing the second death.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a sort of a process there. You know what I mean? So within the illusion, the next step will be our reunification and probably sort of entry to the north, through the north center. You know what I mean? And living out this life. I think who did you talk about earlier on, Cleary, our mind of God maybe, where we were sort of two in one, reunited, and we gave birth via reproduced via an egg, as a singular form. So maybe that's the next layer. Do you know what I mean? But maybe again with the mind, with maybe that's what I said to mind of God at the start. Maybe we set ourselves this puzzle. You know what I mean? And if we didn't follow the clues enough, we just sort of
I'll be back in
were
1 second.
re-entered into it. You know what I'm saying?
Uh,
Fascinating, man. It's absolutely fascinating topic, but I know that for the most part, I'm sort of on my own in it, so I seem like I'm waffling. But I
no,
just say,
I'm
remember,
not, no one
I've
else
been thinking
teaches
about
what I
all
teach.
this.
So we have
uh,
that in common, Pete, that you teach what you teach and no one else teaches what I teach. So that part we are similar. We're on our own. Either we're really on something or we're way off.
I,
So that
so
part
the
I
dodo, the dodo, and the mind of God are intimately connected. I like it.
oh man, you know,
I reckon the
uh,
creator has the best fucking sense of humor going. Really
that has to
do.
be. He must have invented everything: humor, sarcasm, liars, everything. So look at
Um,
I
Rumpus.
think
Rumpus is a
Corona is bringing
walking.
out Corona is going to accelerate the number of dull moments, like, and people sort of coming to realize that everything was never as it seemed to be. It's been made more and more obvious as we talked about the NASA obvious fakery, the transition from NASA to SpaceX, with the argument Cleary was making that like they were going to let go of the old and just present the new in the most convincing form and fashion possible. But then they present us with none other than Starman, right?
Hmm,
Chirag,
yeah,
Starman, with the obvious bullshittery.
there's a
And the
massive
same thing with the
awakening happening.
overacting, honestly.
It's obvious. God is obviously doing something on a worldwide scale because everybody knows this Corona Black Lives thing is
Right.
nonsense. Like, absolute. It's not even close. Like how stupid it is. Like, it's so dumb, dude. Like, even like everyday average people are like, this the thing's a psyop.
Right.
So
And yourself, heal thyself, right? This is a time where we have to come to terms with our own being, and we
that's
have all the
true.
time in the world. All the
That's
beautiful
true.
children now are being deprived of their indoctrination in terms of the schooling system and the church system. All the churches have been closed.
Yeah, it's a
Uh,
blessing.
exactly. A blessing
Dude,
in
Pete,
disguise, right?
Pete, they're begging to go back
Disguise.
to school. That's how backward the system is. They're away from school. They should be at home with their parents, where they can, even if you learn nothing, it's better than lies. So then, then
Well,
they're like, oh, they create a panic. We need to get the kids back to school, and they want people to crave enslavement. They like, we need it. Like, make the schools open. Whatever you need to do. Yeah, it's
uh,
crazy, dude. Sick.
That's
How
yeah, that's the carrot. That's the carrot, right? But we were always meant to. We're not donkeys. We're always meant to see that there's a temptation, and this is why it's written into the script. So I think the question is now, Chirag, right, and Cleary, and Matrix, and Shea here, and anyone who's listening now, what are we going to do to affect, the future? What are we going to do? Those
if
in the
you
know, children of
disengage,
the Creator.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a good
if you
question. I asked
disengage from
myself.
the matrix, if you get out of the city and you're self-sustaining out away, you're actually, that's about the only thing you can do.
Yeah,
More
agreed.
power than that, though. What you said there could have applied 10 years ago. But you see, 10 years ago isn't this year, Cleary. And also, I'll remind you, this year, 19 years since 9/11, where two became one, 11 9 comes 1 9. 19 is the eighth prime number. 8 is the symbol for infinity, which is the twisted zero. Everything points to, well, let me just say my position. I haven't said it here because I haven't been on here. I said the new era, the age of Aquarius, if you want to put it like that, began 4/20/2020. Now we're in the sort of transition period, and all is being revealed at an accelerated rate. I could tell you what happened
Agreed.
to me tonight, honest to
Agreed.
God. I could tell you what I saw in the cloud. I will tell you. I will tell you. I will tell you, actually, both of you, Cleary and Mind of God. I
Let's
saw
hear
the
it.
fucking dragon in this. I saw the dragon in the cloud. There's a full moon, a sliver off the full moon, and the sun in the sky, and in the opposing direction where there shouldn't have been this, taking up half the sky, a dragon. I'm well used to seeing the dragon is here. Now you decide whether the dragon is your friend or your enemy, I guess. Let me just say, I think all illusion has been shattered, and this forthcoming 9/11 is going to be very significant, being the 19th anniversary. But also for you Americans, today, which is here, it's not quite there yet, August the 2nd suddenly seems to be the real Independence Day. So you got a lot to celebrate in one
Pete, by the
sense.
way, Pete, by the way, you should read Revelation 12. The title of it is called "The Woman and the Dragon," and the sentence is, "A great sign appeared in heaven." And so that whole
Right.
chapter is talking about a deceptive age that I believe we're living in right now.
Chirag, that's the. I thought about all of this. Honestly, I used to sort of chant behemoth, be he me th, right? So th is a very significant thought, very significant sort of instruction in a sense to tell us who we are. But with that dragon in the sky, unbelievable, up to the minutest of details, down there's a spine, and it was like a sort of a bird diving through water. So
Right.
it was in that
Why
sort
does
of pose.
the Bible make reference to a dragon when it's describing, I can't remember, like unto a dragon? You know, like a dragon is a real thing, right? Is it a
In this
real
case,
thing?
it's describing just the beast or like a deceptive age of 12, like 3.5 years. That's what Revelation 12 is, and I believe we're living in that now.
That's
But
probably
yeah,
what people thought. No offense, but that's probably what people thought like 100 years ago, 1,000 years ago. You know.
yeah, no, it's
So
that aspect is fair, and I think that's why I didn't really want to push the Bible for too much longer or at all, because I could be wrong. And yeah, you're right. It could.
I have to interrupt because it just occurred to me.
Yeah.
Right. At the back, who is the fucking where does the blame lay for the whole coronavirus shut down the world? In China, with first of all a bat, right? A man eating a bat, BAT. But where does China fit into this sort of greater tale? Is it obvious yet? Just in terms of what we were talking about.
No, I don't see the connection. What do you think it is?
I'm going to have to let you think about that, man, because it's so significant, and especially this year, 2020, and the corona.
Well, wait, Pete, I got a
China-
question for you. Generally, I don't think I've asked you. Do you believe the corona is physical at all, or do you think it's just purely a media hoax? Like, do you think any of these people have a lab-made whatever it is? Like, do you think some? Okay.
Not quite sure. I think this. I spoke to a doctor recently, and he was talking about how his own direct experience. Didn't know from Adam. Just talking to him, very nice guy, his family, and he was talking about he'd never seen something attack one of the victims so quickly, and how it turned everything white. He just turned all of his lungs white. I don't know. There's a
Yeah.
possibility that there's some
I don't know
sort
either.
of
Yeah.
infectation out there, but it's put out there. So the corona in general is an absolute hoax. But again, I hold that the corona brings enlightenment. After 4/20/2020, everything is scripted. And again, 9/11 being so
Yeah.
significant. Never met so many flat earthers who were opposed to the idea that 9/11 was a media and a
Like
victim
name one.
symbolic hoax.
Name one.
Every one of them, all
No,
throughout
every
the
time you
years.
say that, Pete, every time you say
Yeah, I
that,
thought everybody knows that. Yeah, I
every
don't know
time
anybody
you say
who
that,
doesn't.
everybody's like, "Wait, who are you talking about?" Because none of us.
Darwin. Arwen is one.
Well, who is
Oh,
Arwen? My
Arwen's a
God.
fruitcake, man. Come on.
Hang on, you said name one. Arwen has a guy who's
No, I'm talking
done a
about like a
daily
real
show. Come
person
on,
who's
you
not
know
a
how much
mental,
effort goes into a show here.
not a
Clearly.
mental
Come on.
patient, man. Just a real
But hang on,
person.
Arwen.
But Pete,
Arwen
listen
is
to his
attached to
reaction.
Nathan Oakley, right?
Yeah, that doesn't count. They're all agents, dude. That he's like a normal person, like us.
Right. So it's all the agents who reject it the most.
Yeah, true. Agree.
Why is
Yeah.
That's what I'm
everybody an
saying. And the
agent? I
place
don't
is
get.
full of fucking agents.
Maybe you're an agent.
That's Bible literalists. What her view on
Maybe
9/11 is.
Pete. Maybe you're an agent, right?
Maybe I am. What? But I'll tell you how you identify me as an agent, or at least help you along the
Well, I
path,
can read
Cleary. Tell me what I can't talk
Jesuit
about.
Dodo. I
Tell
mean,
me what I can't talk about, Cleary.
I'll give Pete credit. He does talk about everything. That's like whether you believe it or not, he will say whatever the hell
is
anything.
that
So-
your freedom?
More than that,
Because you
by the
can talk
camera
about
here,
it.
I'll put it on and tell you to your face. The ultimate solution is arise, tar, cuss. Right? Arise, tar, cuss. You see, Aristarchus isn't just external. The tree of life is all encompassing, the divided tree of life. Within you, there's a cutoff.
Maybe the Aristarchus society.
That's why your vital fluids
is
pool
paying
in your
you.
testicles, right? Clearly, as a male, as a female, they pool in your breasts. So what you do with that manna from heaven, that's down to you. Arise, tar, of cuss.
now you got
Cuss
Pete
is
riled
a
up.
Spanish name for Jesus. Would you believe?
That can you believe
Tar,
you got
Martin
that?
Liedtke.
Cleary,
Hang on,
can you believe you
Chirag.
got that answer from what you just
Hang on,
asked?
Chirag. You might laugh. Martin Liedke is a tar. Martin Liedke is a tar, which is an able-bodied seaman.
Oh my
Seaman,
God,
right?
Pete! What the heck?
Martin Liedke talks about Tartaria. It's a
This
game
is
of
getting
clues.
X-rated.
Antonius Superats. Superats backwards is star I B us.
Sewer
R I
rats? Yeah.
star C H us. It's all a game of clues.
That's mad funny. Pete, have you ever seen the movie Pistol Pete, like the basketball player, Pistol Pete Maravich?
I don't think so.
Okay, no, just somebody in the chat called you Pistol Pete, and it reminded me of that basketball movie. He's one of the legendary basketball players that existed anyway
Pistol
in the
Pete is
past.
quick on the draw. I have my wits around me. You know, I'm not trying to impress anybody. I'm trying to see open minds here. This is the problem about Bible. Cleary, when I talk about Bible literalists, right, and especially Paula as well,
She's a limited
they
scripter.
enter this arena with a fixed script, like John Quantum Eraser. If you listen back to his 2016 debate with Rumpus, what he entered with is where he's at now. Have a fixed, categorized, deliberate script that they're adhering to, come hell or high water. Anyone who goes against it then is the enemy, and that's what I fucking resent.
Okay, my problem
not the enemy
is
of anyone.
if you're not a uniter, if you are a divider, if you seek to divide people, if you have anger in your heart, you don't have love for one another, you don't have forgiveness, then if you fall into that, that might be an issue right there, don't you think?
Clearly, let me give you an example. Let me give
Notice
you a
on me
real
to
life.
call out
1 second,
deception.
Pete.
There's a
1
notice on my
second,
heart
Pete.
to call out deception wherever I encountered it.
Right.
If you
1
were
second.
deceiving me to my face, hang on, mind of God, Cleary, if you were deceiving me, we were having a pleasant drink or whatever, and I found out you were deceiving me, I would confront you on it, right? And then it'd have to be resolved,
If
or
I was
else I would
deceiving you.
know.
Or maybe
Right, vice
perhaps
versa.
maybe you perceived that I was deceiving you simply because
Sure,
I had a limited focus that wasn't equivalent to yours.
absolutely. But there'd have to be conversation about it, right? I'd have
Yeah,
to
if
confront
you admit
this
that, then you're
suspicion.
fine.
What
If
if
you
I'm
admit that, then that's
what if I'm a
fine.
janitor and all I ever think about is cleaning in an office, but you go into the office and you're selling things and you're doing office work, okay? You're focused on a different area,
Right. Exactly.
he looks at you and says, "Why the hell do you throw your damn coffee cup on the floor? Why aren't you thinking about what I think about,
Right,
No,
but
that part's fair.
I wouldn't
That's a
throw my
humble
coffee cup on the
reaction.
floor to begin with, so he wouldn't have that to say to that.
You
Wouldn't
might
be
do it
the
on
beginning of our
accident.
conversation.
It's just an example. So then the office
Right,
worker
but-
is looking
but
at
hang on,
the
an office
janitor,
example-
and saying,
Hang on. An office setting example isn't the same as this arena here, which is the most vital arena that there is going. You agree with that, Cleary?
yeah, but we all have our talents, we all have our jobs, we all have our focus.
Sure.
You do what you do. Nathan Oakley does
But
what he
no,
does.
there's only one Shea,
Right.
Cleary. There's only one revealer of Aristarchus.
And some
Cleary,
may,
let me give you a
some
real
may
life
say
example.
thank God for that. No, I'm
Let
just
me give
kidding.
you a real life
Well,
example.
so be it, man.
I'm
Pete,
just
1 second.
joking.
I was in Paula Bible Literalist chat one time when she was doing Revelation, and she actually asked people in the chat to understand Revelation 1:7. I just happened to be there, and I said, because she was trying to understand how that could be true, and I said it's reincarnation. I got blocked. So we know then, first of all, let's say I'm wrong, which I'm not. That's obviously what it is. Why would I get blocked if I'm just giving my opinion on Revelation 1:7? I'm getting blocked, first of all, because it's true. And second, that's not in her script, because reincarnation is a powerful truth in the Bible that once it's brought out,
All right.
doesn't answer everything, but it helps us.
Okay.
Because
What does that say?
even one
What
second,
does
let
that-
me finish my thought.
What does it
Because
say, though?
even Cleary, you know this from your background, spiritual background, that these are cycles, right? And then it's a release. And so your language, you might use something, but we would use salvation as maybe Christian. But it's still, the reincarnation is a powerful truth that unites different faiths.
It is,
right?
yeah.
And it's true. It's literally true in the
Quote it.
Bible.
That's true.
Quote the verse, please. Mind of God.
There's many, but I have a full video on it. But Revelation 1:7, I'll read it right now.
In the
is,
spirit of
Please do,
Elijah, Jesus, or it was John the Baptist came in the spirit of Elijah.
Here's another one. Revelation 1:7. Behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him. How is that possible that the people, when Christ returns, because this is Book of Revelation, could see
Excellent.
him, even they who killed him? It's only
Okay,
possible.
that's an excellent point of discussion. Excellent point of discussion. You were going to say something, Cleary?
Yeah, okay. It's my little story. It's not long. This will help you out. About truth. Me and my friend had an argument, right? We didn't talk for a year. Finally, he called me one day and said, "What's up?" I said, "Well, I believe this, I believe that, and I believe the other of our experience." And he says, "Well, this is what I see, and this is why I did that, and that's why I did that." And I was like, "Well, damn, I had my truth, and you had your truth, and now when we came together, we found the truth in the middle somewhere." That's what is going on. Everybody has their own truth, and they're not going to just believe your truth because that's what the Father gave you, you know. But
that's a bit different, though. Clearly, the only reason this is a bit different is that Paula, for example, is teaching the Bible like I am, so we're already like on a similar level. But I get sort of broadly what you're saying. If you're talking to people of different faiths, yeah, we may not believe in Aristarchus, but we listen to Pete, and he says some things. Like, I believe Pete is a spiritual guy, so I will learn certain things. But yeah, that's fair. But
like, do you have any like Hindu or other religious people in your family or anything?
They're all Hindu.
Yeah,
all of them.
So then they probably don't agree with you, right?
Yeah, and and I'm not trying to say that I'm a victim, but imagine if somebody taught me reincarnation in the Bible when I was 18 years old, first reading the Bible. Wouldn't that be a powerful way I could connect with my family and be like, yeah, guys, we have a different view, but reincarnation is understood in your faith and it's literal in mine. Like, don't you think that would have been a good truth? Again, God controls all these things, but these gatekeepers are holding people back from truth in various books. And
but hang on, what are the implications of reincarnation then? Why the ultimate division? What does it imply?
It means
if I am reincarnated,
it means we sleep in our own bed. We have existed in a past generation, and our condition right now is a function of decisions we made.
Let's talk about this, guys. Let's talk about this real quick. Do you need salvation from extinction? Do you need salvation from a pit of hell? Do you need salvation from death if you're stuck in the life and death rebirth cycle?
Yes, you do. Yes, that's exactly what it is. Correct.
That's what you need salvation for, so that you can escape the life and death rebirth cycle.
Exactly.
What choice do you have, though?
Exactly. That's what the Bible teaches.
What choice do you have, Cleary?
What choice do you have? You either come back over and over and over again, like Groundhog Day, or you go and ascend to the Father.
Groundhog Day, he came back until he got it right?
Yeah. Yeah, same thing.
And that's what Mind of God is maybe saying, that, and that's what I'm saying from the start as well. Maybe we set ourselves, knowing the greater us, we set ourselves these conditions that if you didn't get it right, because we're outside of time anyway.
All right, this is getting boring, man.
Until you got it right, and this is why I say 2020 is so important.
We got to disagree on something here, man. Somebody's got to.
But Cleary, again, you're not going to maybe come to my position. I'm not going to go to yours fully, but we can have a very good conversation as flat earthers. Even if we explore the possibility, let's just say I don't even literally know that the reincarnation is true, but What's wrong to even think about it? Why would I get blocked from somebody's channel mentioning that? And
I don't care if
I'm not even joking. She was asking people from the chat for ideas, and I gave one. Got blocked. She's like, no, don't bring that here. So we know that it's true, and we know that she's a gatekeeper just from that.
I love Paula. She's an old friend, and we've always got along. But that judgment, that anger inside, that the inability to compromise or accept others' ideas, I have a problem with that. You're judged by your fruit. I just
Correct.
I don't know.
But like Pete said, if you're lying to me or you're lying to other people, then we have a problem with that. Certain people, we're born this way. We didn't decide to be this way. We didn't decide to be flat earthers and hate lies and all that. We were made this way.
Think about it. It's all about the literal, right? So the church has always been responsible for the narrative on both sides, science and religious. And at every step, this is what Nathan Oakley, quantum eraser, Nathan Oakley's mentor. Remember, this is the biggest stage there is, right? They're all about the literalism, the literal interpretation of the spinning ball Earth and the debunking thereof. What lies beyond that, we don't know. Ask Nathan Oakley, what does he replace the vacuum of space with? Even in his own private thinking, don't know.
Why do you have a problem with
nature of the
Nathan Oakley,
container,
man?
don't know.
Why, honestly?
So it's
why?
a literal.
Hey, why
Yeah,
do
but
you?
hang on,
why,
that's what I'm telling you.
hey,
It's a literal.
Hey,
Yeah.
why do you have a problem with Nathan Oakley, man? He is
So I'm telling
he
you,
is the
man.
one person who
I'm
has
telling
taken
you.
this. Hang on, taken this argument all the way to the frickin' wall, man. All the way, with this Black Swan. I know Quantum Eraser. I don't care for Quantum Eraser. I don't watch his shows or whatever. But he did structure the argument. They did a really damn good job, guys. You got to admit that, right?
Yeah, the Black Swan came out in 1/1/2020. Black Swan, my friend Cleary, was around before you were on the scene. And you were wallowing around in, well, ignorance, I guess, until your son enlightened you, or at least was the influencing force to enlighten you. But the Black Swan, with channels like Wide Awake, who was capturing many images from feet below, just above the surface of the water, beyond.
I know,
always
David.
known.
I know, David. And don't chastise me simply because I've only been around for 2.5 years.
I'm not doing that but you said that was the situation with you. You reported that was the case.
But what does that matter? I know the Black
Because
Swan.
you don't know the
Listen,
history then. If Quantum Eraser was around in 2016, privy to all of this information,
I know.
He suddenly got it.
Yeah,
from his own lips,
he
got it. Hang on, please, Cleary. He got it on the 1st of the 1st, 2020. I say it's insignificant. Black Swan is a military term, meaning an unpredictable and an earth-changing event. And then along comes Corona 2020.
The images have been out there for a long time, right? Yeah, but the argument was structured in a way that actually is good for flat Earth. You got
but Cleary, you can't deny the amount of military presence that's on both sides, and definitely the flat Earth. You can't deny that at this point. Please, really, look.
Deny what? I'm sorry, I'm reading this troll moron.
How many military people we have on both sides. It's just not a coincidence anymore at this point, right?
Well, what's the problem with the military? I'm ex-military.
I'm not saying there's a problem with it, but you can't argue with the fact that that's a fact, right? And so
9/11 theory.
But in a cross section of people, guess what? There's a lot of veterinarians. There must be a conspiracy. Veterinarians.
No, fair enough.
Yeah.
No, fair enough.
I'm not making a conclusion from it yet, but people like maybe Pete and I, maybe not military, like we would wonder, and then why do those people seem to have a strange relationship with the ballers?
Why are there so many truck drivers who are flat earthers?
I didn't know you're ex-military, Cleary, but I should have guessed, right? And I could have easily guessed, I guess. But what happened on 9/11? Hang on, Cleary. Do you think that? Hang on, Cleary, please.
Does that define me? Does that define?
No, it doesn't.
Who I am because I simply
was
in the military.
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
But can I ask you? Do you agree with me when I say that 9/11 was a media and a victim symbolic hoax? No one died, and everything that we saw was pre-recorded.
No, you were not there. You're not even in the same country, so don't even say that. You're saying that. Why do you
ask you a question? Do you agree with me?
Why do you eliminate the possibility that people were sacrificed?
Because they don't kill their own. It's all a symbolic affair.
They do. They kill people all the time, man. Why would
I'm
they
sure they
not?
do, but not in this setting which required
Why
sort
would
of
they do?
international cooperation. Excuse me, please. International cooperation, and again, thousands of people will cooperate in a mass hoax, a symbolic hoax, but not
Why wouldn't the powers
a
that be
mass
that
murder.
want everybody dead not kill some people in an
The
accident?
buildings, the twin towers were built without many of the floors. It was always set up for a symbolic
It was
sacrifice,
when it
or
was
an ending
built.
more than
When it
anything
was
else. It was the
built.
ending of the
When
era.
it was built, it had the system in it already to take it down, and that's why you had the secret security, whatever, secret service agent with the nuke, to take the building down. You know,
Ah, so I asked you a simple question. Do you agree with me? So the obvious answer is no, you don't.
I don't agree that no one died. How can you say that when you?
It was a symbolic hoax. It was a hoax from start to
Hey,
finish. No
okay,
one died
maybe
because
no
no one
one.
needed to die. How many people died at
Yeah,
Shanksville?
Wait,
maybe.
Cleary, you think 9/11 was legit?
No, is that
Oh,
what I
okay,
said?
okay.
No,
No, I'm just
what
wondering.
I said was that people in the buildings could have died. Why does it have to be that all of the deaths were fake?
Yeah, it's possible. It's possible.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it's
all I
possible.
Hang
said.
on, hang on. You said you were an army. You're an army veteran,
See,
right?
now you're going to
You
talk
picked up a
about that.
weapon to go across the world and fight for a cause. You should be more informed than I am.
Yeah, I am pretty damn informed. Yeah.
Right, so you know that the vast majority of the victims were fabricated from whole cloth, but you're making the argument that Pete, you shouldn't say that no one died because
Pete,
you can't know that.
Pete,
Four people, if four
you
people died,
don't
you'd be proven
know
wrong.
it. I don't
Right,
know it either way. So for
make
me
the
to make a
call.
claim either way is wrong.
Well, what did your gut tell you?
What does my gut tell you? Tell me?
Did you
What
ever kill anyone,
tells me I should
Cleary?
go eat some wings? I don't know.
Have you killed anyone? Have you ever killed anyone?
Well, why would I even tell you if I did?
Because let me just say, you don't have to, right? But if a man kills somebody, that is a serious thing. And before you decide to do that, you need to know exactly why you are doing it. It's one thing if someone is coming invading your home, threatening to kill your wife and family, and etc. But when you follow a story
So you
and go
define
along,
military people by their willingness to
I
kill
don't.
others.
This applies to every man.
Okay.
This applies to every man. And we agree that 9/11 was a deception, but you told me that you were an army fellow. I've been up to the army
So
here.
you're gonna
I'm the
start
king of
beating me over the
Ireland.
head with the things I tell you, man. I don't know why you
No, I
do that.
don't, man. I've been up to the army here. They take an oath to the people. You're all subservient to the people. There's deception in play.
So
You've got to call it out.
you shouldn't judge everyone
I don't
like
judge
that. No,
anybody.
listen to
I
me.
don't judge anybody. That's
You
something
say
that
that
applies to us all.
you think that everyone who goes into the military submits themselves to that system, right? No.
Directly or indirectly.
No.
Yeah, they
You
do.
have
They
to. You
they
have to
you
conform.
have to conform, right?
It's the
But
That's
same
what
as
I
any other
think.
corporation. If you work for Amazon, you have to live by their principles. If you work for Google, you live by their principles. If you work for whatever, it's the same thing.
that's right.
It's not any different.
If you choose to conform to be part of that system,
You have to. They pay you.
yeah.
Eventually, whether it's not on day one, agree. Maybe it takes a while. We don't know. But whether you know you're doing it or not, that's different. That's a different discussion that we don't even know the answer to. Only God could answer that.
Yeah, so don't listen to me clearly here. Don't assume that everyone that goes into the military conforms to that system. Trust me.
Sure. No,
Trust
fair enough.
me.
Fair
They
enough.
don't.
Right.
They
Sure.
do
By
not.
the way, I don't think that. I think that all wars are fake. There's a different reasoning. All the desert areas are chosen for war centers because this is where we have many steel structured buildings going up in place of the giant collapsed, destroyed trees, which held back the barrier. All of these structures, including the 9/11 One World Trade, are in effect a directed energy weapon the other way around. The alternative, Judy Wood, right? Wood, Judy Wood,
All
directed
right.
energy weapon.
Yeah,
Hang
hang
on, please.
on.
Let me finish, Cleary,
Let me
please.
know when you're done.
This is the point of it all. So I don't assume that that is your motivations, but I'm trying to get to know you, your through thought. So when you answered my question, which you didn't really, I asked you, did you agree with me or not? And you don't clearly agree with me. And I pointed out earlier on that so many flat earthers have so much resistance over the past to this idea. Proven at this stage for me.
Clearly, at this point, you can't argue. Like Pete, for example, I'm not trying to speak for Pete, but I suspect from what I hear, you can't. This is something I can't like undo. I can't not see the coordination and the flat Earth in the background. Whatever you call them, government, military, whatever term you want to use. It's obvious, dude. It's literally like an elephant, like a big fat elephant in the room. It's just obvious.
Yeah,
So
because let me tell you, I
okay.
talk about this all the time. I don't think people really hear me. The Geospatial Intelligence Agency wants everyone to know that we are on a flat Earth. That is the military intelligence branch, okay? These are the people who want to have a 5G Internet of Things so that they can track everything, control everything, secure everything, you know.
I didn't know that existed. That could make sense then. Why there's such a coordinated initiative to get
Yeah.
flat Earth, but only
What is
flat
that?
Earth.
The Trump group, Cleary?
I don't know. Yeah. Okay, hang on. Yeah, you're right. I wasn't thinking about that. The Military Intelligence Agency, I'm sorry, the Military Intelligence Branch. Good luck finding who that is exactly. They're the ones who put him in office. They're the ones who put him in office because they are the faction that is against the pseudo Republican Democrat,
Right.
which is the same two sides of the same coin.
Right.
Hey,
Well,
Cleary,
Yeah,
man.
exactly.
Thank
Yeah.
you for having me,
listen
man.
to
I
this,
gotta
right?
go.
All right,
See you
Matrix.
guys.
Take care, man.
Okay. He didn't say much for the last hour or so, but anyway, consider this clear.
How's he gonna talk
Consider
over you,
this.
T?
Type
I'm the host,
in,
and
and play for your
I can
audience.
barely even talk over you.
You can't get a word in when you got Pete and me on a panel. It's impossible.
Listen, this is all good stuff. But type in Cleary, type in Donald Trump and 9/11, and play it for the audience, or play it for yourself if you don't want to play it for the audience. He's
Y'all,
intimately connected with 9/11,
y'all go
and
and
on the day of
see
it, there's a
that.
green screen behind him, Chirag.
Yeah. No,
How
you
obvious
can't unsee it, dude. You can't unsee it. We know we're in a movie. Even the just the flat Earth truth. We know we're on a stage. There's some script that's whether it's the Bible or there's some narrative that's happening, and it's not a good one. that we
God
know
get us
now.
the narrative that we're meant to work our way through to the conclusion.
I don't know. Like that's what's worrisome with some of these flat Earth people is they don't acknowledge the obvious fact that this world is, like Pete would say, a divided state. I would describe it as hell. Whatever. It's bad, really bad.
The materiel. Why do all angels' names end in el or near all? El. It's at the end as opposed to the beginning. L makes a difference, right? So when we take the H, we combine both sides and we raise the crossbar, we get the T. When we lower it, we get the L. Let me just say that applies to our divided state of being. Remember I said male from female, self from self? We have the brain at the top, the immaterial center. We have the gut, the groin at the bottom, the material center. And then we have the heart, great center. So that's why Jesus always points to the heart. These are the distinctions. When we look at the letter E, this is why the whole E, spirit, right? Whole E, spirit. We have to recognize a divided state. Look at Gospel of Thomas, right? The doubting Thomas, his final parting statement or secret saying of Jesus. I was going to say CRM 114, but it is saying 114. Leave that to you yourself.
Let me tell you this real quick. Let me tell you this real quick. I met a lady from out of town. She said, you know, I was thinking about moving here, and I said, "Where are you from?" And she told me. I said, "What what are the people like there? What's it like there?" She said, "Oh, it's wonderful there. People open their houses to you. People are so full of love. It's a fantastic place to live." And I said, "Well, that's what you'll find here, you know." And then I met another lady, and she said, "Hey, I was thinking about moving here." I said, "Well, what's it like from where you're from?" And she said, "People are rotten. It's like a living hell. You know, everyone's out to get you. You know." And I said, "Well, that's pretty much what you'll find here."
Yeah.
Or frame of mind, isn't it?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I mean, I get your point, but I think this whole mass stuff and all this stuff is starting to weigh on us even more than the enslavement that we had prior. So it's starting to get
Make no bones about
really
it.
weird.
No bones about it, though, and this is what I'm constantly trying to stress. We are concerned with greater, weightier issues. Not concerned with what the normal individual person on the street is concerned with. After coming to Flat Earth, we realize that's just the beginning, not the end. So
Right.
how far can we go to figuring out what the fuck this is all about? I say God is on our side, the Creator is on our side. We can ultimately go all the way. It just depends on your own, mind of God set, right?
That has to be the destination. I don't think that we'll ever get there because the Bible says we can't be in the presence of the Most High because it would just consume us. So to me, then I read that as it's a pursuit. It's going to always be like physics is just an idea. God can make something else, like another physics or another reality that we'd have to study and interact with people and figure out. And he could do that forever. I think
that's where mind of God that you lose by taking the literal Jesus story, crafting that idol and externalizing it from you.
I take the non-literal and the literal.
Story.
I take the non. I understand when you guys come with a non. I also take it literally, so I have that as my foundational interpretation. But the things
you can't have it though. You can't have both. You can't serve two masters. You can't have idols. You were told not to have idols.
No, the literal is things that are to be verified, and if they don't come to pass, then it's not true. So there is a literal aspect to the Bible that it makes claims that events will literally take place, and so
not if those times didn't exist. Pyramids are never mentioned in the Bible. All back to Shakespeare as well. In Shakespeare, the Bible is never mentioned. This is all purposefully done. I hold that the pyramids in Egypt were built post the writing of the Bible, which was 1611. Again, we live in a construct. What do you think? Again, we're presented with a sort of a definitive materialistic reality in terms of the evolutionary Big Bang model of life, the universe, and everything. And then you have the alternative. Well, if you're going to be narrow-minded about the possibilities regarding the alternative, but then you deny the power of the mind of God. And that's what I say. This is all a construct, as opposed to assimilation, sort of a construct, right, which is there to be reintegrated. This is what science deals with. Science deals with the disintegrated and tries to piece it together, and they come to, the wondrous heliocentric Big Bang model of things. But we have to deal with the integrated and understand how it is disintegrated. And that's where God is. God is the integrated, right? God is that nothingness at the center of the seed, which is everything. Yeah. He leads to everything.
Well, I'll say this, Pete, as I sign off, it's an interesting journey, you're fighting for truth. We're all fighting for different truths. And, I definitely learned.
It's culminating soon, Brad. It's culminating soon, 9/11. Let me just say as well, look up 9/11 2020. What the saint day is, mind of God. You won't believe
September is a very spiritual month, for sure.
Let me tell you what it is.
Yeah.
It's the... decollation day of Saint John the Baptist, or the beheading remembrance day of Saint John the Baptist, 9/11 2020. I remind you, Easter Sunday. Yes, it is Easter Sunday, which 4/12, which was April 12.
Yeah,
is exactly, which is Resurrection Sunday. It's exactly 6 months from April 12 to September 11. Which has been associated with, the real birth date of Christ. And now we have the coincidence with the St. John the Baptist.
It's incredible you mentioned John the Baptist, because he's Elijah and he's prophesied to return prior to Christ, with Christ in his second coming. So that's
pay attention. What's that Revelation 7 again on the parting note? I quote it very often. Revelation 1:7. Go on, Shirag, because I saw it in the clouds tonight, a dragon.
Oh, sorry, that's Revelation 12. That's Revelation 12. Read that. That's the woman and the dragon. Yep.
No. It isn't. I'm correct. It's Revelation 1:7. Behold, I cometh with the clouds, and all eyes shall see me.
Right. That's reincarnation. That's proof that God's left and right hand side experienced reincarnation. Yes.
Right. Well, in the clouds tonight, the dragon was manifest. And I'll tell you this, in my mind, I mentioned Behemoth earlier on. Behemoth is land-based. That's the power, the elephant in a sense, the strongest animal in land. The Leviathan is lord of the skies and the seas. Because, of course, if you fly a bird and a penguin, for instance, just to take a sort of equivalent, they both fly, right? The medium is different. Medium is different. So, behold, I come with
Pete,
the clouds
man, Pete, I appreciate you coming over here and talking. Very much, really enjoyed it, man. I know I gave you a hard time, but that's just me.
Well, that's okay.
If you give Pete and I a mic, that means that you probably are not concerned about opinion.
here, man. Everybody
Yeah.
comes and you express your ideas and thoughts, and I'm
There's
not.
not many of these platforms left. That's why I give Ranty credit. Like, there's not many of these places like this and like Ranty that we can come on and say things, and we could be wrong, we could be right, we could say whatever we want.
I mean, it
So
can blow up into a massive battle where everybody can agree on things. I mean, who knows? Who knows what's gonna happen? But it's not
we,
like, it's not some scumbag place like Jose's. I mean,
oh, that's horrifying.
the
Yeah,
Daily
that's
Poo, where people are just spewing nonsense. If you come over here and start talking a bunch of bullshit, that's
yeah.
when you're gonna get jumped on. You know,
Even if they're right, that environment is insane. Like, even if they're correct, which they're obviously not,
they're
but
not.
yeah, that's like literally like cancer, mental cancer.
Yeah, it's
So
bad. I don't know how
You should
Rakia Life and
clarify.
them do it.
You should clarify, Cleary. Incoherent bullshit. I'm well capable of talking coherent, passable bullshit. How is one to
Yeah,
know?
just. I mean, like
Let me just say, no one else on earth, and now this has been said to me as well, is talking about Aristarchus or the stuff that I'm talking about in general. If there's been a reflection of the divided source, as I am, that doesn't mean I'm incorrect.
How
And
did
I
you
always
learn
say,
about Aristarchus from a book?
no,
Now
it
he's
was my own
trolling you,
pathway
dude.
here. It was my own. I followed the
Pete, you
clues.
don't even know when he's trolling you, dude. It's hilarious.
Well, I mean, but it within the book, it's given to us, but that's a different story altogether.
I was just
Right.
Now,
messing with you, man.
doesn't
I was
mean
just
I'm
That's
messing
correct,
with
but
you.
it doesn't mean I'm incorrect as well. You know
No,
what I mean?
he was joking. He was just. But your
I
notion
get that. I get
your
that.
notion that things that are true cannot be written down in a book is absolutely preposterous, because lots of things are technically true in books everywhere.
Yeah,
Like,
there's a lot of good books.
yeah, I mean, it just, yeah, it's the fact that
And
it's in a book, the fact that it's in a book and exists for thousands of years, that doesn't mean that it's true. That's a good point. That's a very, very valid point. Yeah,
it's
just because
always
there's a
with the
Bible,
context. Yeah.
Just
right? Yeah,
because
just
you,
because there's a Bible in every
just
hotel or motel, that doesn't mean that it's true. Just because there's a Bible.
yeah, just
That
because
that's a
you,
good point.
yeah, just because you think it'd be mean for people to get murdered, doesn't make it true. They may have
Yeah,
actually died.
yeah, I think that, but it's too ballerish when you start saying stuff like that, because then they're like, oh, you got that on YouTube, right? It's like, what's wrong with YouTube? There's lots of things on YouTube
You're
that
on
are
YouTube,
true.
trashing YouTube. I mean, you're
Yeah,
right here.
exactly. I had these weird stains in my shirt because I mixed the socks with the colors, and I didn't know how to recover my socks. So I went on YouTube and found this like thing you can buy to get that stuff out.
Oh
and it
yeah,
worked.
that's
Yeah, and it's
anything you
I
want to know,
learned
man.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like YouTube's incredible these days. Like, information is so compartmentalized. I think if this were to continue on, education in terms of degrees will not be required. It'll just be who's good at finding information. And I think that's the way a person would be measured by intelligence.
Yeah, it's great. You can learn anything. You can learn the
Yeah,
earth is
quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. What lies beyond, though? That's the greater question. And what are our true possibilities or true potential? I think this is what all the X-Men and the fantasy sort of MCU universe stuff is all about. By the way, Tony Stark. Tony Stark is the lead character. Throughout all of the characters, as it winds up in Endgame, Tony Stark is the key figure. And like Arya Stark from Aristarchus, the clues are everywhere. All points to the same thing.
What if I don't
Simple
watch
answer.
movies? And stuff
Yeah,
like
I don't
that?
either.
There's clues elsewhere. George Harris's son and Ringo Starr. Everywhere you look, you'll find the same clues. And pay attention to just how prominent stars are in whatever form, be it designs on T-shirts, be it Neil deGrasse Tyson has his Star Talk podcast or daily broadcast these days. But pay attention to clues is what I'll say as a parting note. And beyond that, well, we're on our own in this one, but I think, well, the mind of God is with us all. So,
Pete, I got one last one to leave you on. You notice how they do Raw talks, Jaren, Good Servant? It's Raw backwards, War, all these military people. So I'll leave it on that because you do your wordplay. That's mine.
All right, thank you guys for coming by, and might do another like midnight flatness type show tonight. I'm not real sure. We'll see. You never know. And anyway, everyone on YouTube, thanks for coming by. You can go over to the Plain Truth. It's a movie night over there.
Nice.
It's pretty cool.
By the
So
way, sorry, Cleary, sorry to interrupt before you go. I still can't post that image. It's still blocking me from posting an image, but maybe I'll do it next time.
like hang on.
It'd be great to consider for Mind of God and for everybody because it does tie in
I don't
with
know why you
God
couldn't.
creating the devil. And when we combine the two, what do we get? So the visual image would
Yeah,
be.
I think God can give us those things for individuals, so I don't deny those one on
When I
one.
show you the image,
Yeah,
though, you'll understand
sure. Yeah,
where I'm coming from with the one and the
take a look.
zero, the circle and the diameter, the
Did you get a message from
transcendental
me?
number of God pi. Let me try that again.
Cleary, thanks for
Number of
having me,
God
Pete. I'll
pi.
stay on to watch offline, but take care, guys. Peace.
All right, man.
Well,
Take care.
okay. No, it didn't work. But let's try it again, Cleary. That's okay. But thanks for the link and thanks for the great conversation.
Yeah, man.
So take care.
Anytime.
Excellent. Take care and love to all. Okay.
All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'm gonna shut it down. Yep. Yep. I'll see you next time.